We are at the garlic farm in the Isle of Wight. We're about to take a tractor tour here today. So let's go over and have a bit of a chat and let's find out what we're going to do. Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So what are we going to do today?
So today we're going to go on our tractor and trailer tour. It goes all around the farm and I can tell you about garlic, about history of the farm, anything anyone wants to know really.
Excellent, can't wait. So we're going to hop on now and we're going to have an awesome tour of the garlic farm. Thank you.
I'm Blythe, I'm your tour guide today. We've got a bit of a special tour today with some filming and things, and we do have Colin Boswell on here as well. He's the owner of the farm. Just a quick safety thing, please stay sat down on the way around. It's quite bumpy at places. If you stay sat down you'll be alright. Anyone been to the farm before? Been to the farm before? No? This is your first time? Perfect. You won't know if I make anything up. I won't do that. Something to note as we drive around today, lots of the plants and things you see in the wooded areas you see were planted by Colin and his family when he came to the farm. So all of kind of this area here you see in a lot of the wooded areas. When they arrived there wasn't too much in the way of cover for the wildlife and things. So they worked quite hard to do that, and also it just adds an extra cover for the garlic protection that's down there in the valley.
People have actually lived here for about 6,000 years. It's the idea, and the very reason that you're here today, you're just the most recent human being to arrive here, and you've come today. It's windy, but it's sunny. And we're actually protected from the wind here, and it would have been the same for people 6,000 years ago. And the bonus is, and the reason why they would have come, is that there are springs, chalk springs, just coming up behind us here. So there was running water, there was cover, there was protection from the wind, and there was probably a lot of food here. So there's nuts on the hazel trees. What have you just seen? Oh yeah? That's I tell people that's a red squirrel trap, but it isn't actually. It's for playing disc golf, frisbee golf. All right. So people have been here forever, and they've left what they used all around them. And typically they use flint tools, and then later they use bronze, and then metal, iron, metal, and then later coins. And all over this ground, if you walk across it when it's ploughed, you see the remains of the past. And every so often, little girl, are you listening? Every so often, a hand comes up through the plough and offers you something from the past. And it's the past saying, you're here now, we were here before you, and we are now the custodians of this place.
So you can now see we have come out, we are in the Arraton Valley. So we've obviously got the downs and the hills all the way around us. Down in the bottom of that field, just down there, you can see our Highland cattle. Can you see them? They're kind of camouflaged down there. We've got a herd here on the farm, and they go around different fields and graze it down, help keep the farm in order. Very friendly. And over in the distance, to the right of the tractor, just over there, you can see a complex of greenhouses and some that complex over there. That belongs to a company called White Salads, or the tomato stall. Don't know if you've heard of them. They obviously grow salad things and tomatoes, and it's very interesting, as you can see, two big companies growing different products in a very small space. And that just shows how fertile the soil is here on this side of the island and in the Arraton Valley. And as Colin was saying about the history of the farm, this triangular patch of grass you see here looks slightly unloved now, but that is actually the site of an Iron Age farmstead. So dated from about 100 BC to 200 AD. On that patch of land, they would have been 3 circular huts. People would have lived and worked in them. We've done lots of archaeological digs all over the site of the farm, and we've got lots of bits of pottery and things that they found in the education centre. You can actually go and see them and have a read. One of the things they found in that Iron Age farmstead was fragments from bottles called amphorae, and they were very large round bottles with long tall necks, and they were used to transport oil and wine, and they were actually traced back to Seville in Spain. So obviously at that time they would have come a long way and they would have been used here. We've got Roman settlement sites on the farm as well, so kind of dotted around on the farm. We've got some of those artefacts at the Brading Roman Villa, so they're very interesting, and like I said, some of them in the education centre. And staying with the historical side of the farm, this track that is running to the left of us now, between these two hedges, we're going to join it in a second. That is called the Isle of Wight Packway, and hundreds of years ago, before the time of cars, when horses and carts were the main mode of transport, that was actually the main route across the island from west to east island. And it hasn't moved, yes, you can see it there, it hasn't moved much at all in all of those years. And it was guarded with armed guards at various points all the way along, and it was much safer, much quicker for those horses and carts going around the island rather than going up over the downs. And you can still get along to West Wight along now cycle tracks and bridleways and things.
On your right there's a little crop of sweet corn, which is actually ripe, and the reason I can tell it's ripe is because the badgers have got there before us. The badgers is very sweet, and the badgers are thirsty, and it's got sugar in it. So the badgers have been in there at night, bloody things, and they've started to eat the sweet corn before we can get it to the shop. On the left here, we've just harvested a garlic crop here on the left, and you can see tall green plants there. See them growing there? And that is thorn apple, as they say on the Isle of Wight. They roll the R. See the white flowers there? It's actually called Datura stramonium. It's quite rare. People come down here in the autumn because it has thorn apples on it. Spiky apples, and the apples are full of black seeds. And the black seed is Datura stramonium. It's highly narcotic. It'll take you away for several days. And one of our girls decided to make some tea with it, and we lost her. She was under the bed of the caravan for 3 days. Luckily it didn't kill her, but it's quite interesting and quite rare. So we're coming round to the right now, and just here on the boundary, on this hedge, which is going to be on our left, this hedge is the parish boundary. So that's the boundary of the parish of Newchurch. There's the church up on the hill there. So that church has been there. There's a Saxon church in about 800. And what happened was that when the Christians came in, they Christianized the place, converted them all from worshipping Thor and all the rest of it. They actually put their churches in the middle of what were the boundaries of the old Roman estates. So on your left here is the boundary of a Roman estate. It's called a latifundia. And right across the island, from over there in the east, right over to the west, there were Roman estates. And each one had a Roman villa in, except for Newchurch. Newchurch has not found its Roman villa. We think it's probably just out here, given that we've found tiles, little bits of mortarium, which they ground the food up with, and other things, quite valuable pottery, high value pottery. Okay, back to you.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about growing the garlic now. Have you ever grown garlic before? No. Tried it? Interested in trying it?
Is it complicated?
No, so it's actually a very simple crop to grow. It's quite specific in the components that it needs to grow. Once you get them right, it's very easy. So the first thing really is it likes nice free draining soil. The soil this side of the island, you can see it's quite reddy, so it's quite sandy and it's very free draining, and that really helps the garlic. If you've got quite heavy clayey soil, you can grow it in pots or kind of in raised beds, or mix some sand or gravel in with your soil, and that really helps. So free draining soil. Also, it likes the sunlight, it likes to be outside, it likes the cold, it likes the wet. Here on the island we actually get very good sunlight intensity hours. Obviously, as we are an island, the sun reflects off the sea onto the land, and it's really good. We get about the same sunlight intensity as Bordeaux in France, so even when it's slightly cloudy and very windy like today and things, actually the garlic's still getting really good sunlight and everything. The planting season for garlic is September through to January. So it likes the cold, like I said, it likes to be outside over the winter. The cold is what actually makes your garlic split into its cloves. So it's very hardy. If we found when you don't get a frost or when it's not quite as cold, or in a lot of warmer countries, the garlic has been planted and it's come out looking like an onion. So it hasn't had any cloves in it. We call those monobulbs. And that's just because it hasn't had the frost and it hasn't been out in the cold enough. And then harvesting with your garlic, so you harvest it end of June, July time, and you'll see at the moment you've come at a really good time, because in the shop we've got almost all of our varieties of garlic in there now that we've grown here on the farm. There's two kind of main groups when you're growing your garlic. They're the hard necks and your soft necks. I don't know if you've seen garlic, if you've seen it growing before, it's got a purple, some of them have a purple flower on top, and they're called an allium. They're the hard neck varieties. And then there's other varieties where a soft neck and they just grow leaves. They've just been cultivated so much that they've lost that ability to grow a flower. So the hard necks grow the flower called an allium, and we recommend that you do just chop that flower off about halfway down the stem, so you get a lovely nice bulb underneath rather than a lovely purple flower and a smaller bulb. Other than that, they grow very similarly, and like I said, plants over the winter. You can feed it around February time sulfate of potash or something like that, and that will just really help push it through the winter. But other than that, it's very hardy, likes to be kept outside, likes the wind. And then once you've harvested it, it takes about 2 weeks to dry it. We have ours laid all out in the field if it's nice and dry, so hopefully it has been this year. It takes about 2 weeks to fully dry it out on the field. If it's raining or a bit drizzly, in the greenhouse, or at home if you do it on a windowsill somewhere nice and warm. And then from your harvest, any garlic will last for about minimum of about 4 or 5 months. A lot of them are longer than that, so the Solent White varieties are especially long lasting type, and it will last for about 10 or 11 months from harvest. Where they're the ones that we plat, so that's a really good way to store it, which you'll see in the shop with the early purple and the Provence as well. We plat, and that's very long lasting. So it does have quite a long, you can keep it for a long time. And when you grow it as well, you can kind of keep your garlic. When you've harvested it in July, you can dry it out and then save it till September, and then you can break it up and plant it again. And you can keep doing that for about 4 or 5 years, so you can kind of be your own self-sufficient garlic farm and keep doing that. And then we recommend that you come back to an original kind of seed after that. But yeah, so you can do it for quite a few years, and you get a lot of cloves on each bulb. It depends on the variety, but normally about 6 to 10 cloves in each bulb, and you plant each clove about 6 inches apart with about 2 to 3 inches of soil on top. And then you'll get obviously that many bulbs at the end. There are about 600 different varieties of garlic. We haven't come close to trying them all, I don't think. But Colin goes all around the world and finds different types of garlic, different varieties to grow, and we trial them here. And we're very successful, aren't we, Colin? Very successful. Yeah. And just over there to the left of the tractor, we're about to go past those wooden kind of boards there. That's our trial beds. So each variety we've got at the moment, got probably about 15 different varieties at the moment, which you can go over there in the shop with a few more trialling there, and have a little read about each different variety and how they grow. The hottest one we've got at the moment is the marble purple stripe. That's a very strong one. and the purple stripe, which is similar to it, is, am I right in saying it's the one that's closest to the original, closest to the mother of all garlic? So the original garlic that we found, that's the closest one we found, and it grows very well here. Most garlics grow very well here, actually. So, pardon? Is it smelly when you harvest it? When it's as a whole bulb, it's not too smelly. As soon as you cut into it, that's when it's smelly, yeah. Because it releases all the juice.
So the one thing we can't do anything about is the lack of water. This would have been a beautiful flower field. Last year they were up this high and beautiful cornflowers and corn marigolds. This year they're just not. They're not there. They've all died. But what we're just about to do is open up one of the old wells, and we can pump out of the well and get our own water, and they can't charge us.
So we're here in the garlic farm with the owner, Colin, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about the different varieties he has today. And we just had the tractor ride, which explained how there's 40 different varieties that we've got on the farm. And we're just going to run through some of those and some of the products that we have here. Hi, Colin, how are you?
Very well.
That's good. So if you can just explain how you came up with the concept of why garlic and how it kind of eventuated through.
Okay, so I came here when I was 6 years old, and then I went away and out to school, and I worked in London. And then we got married, my wife and I got married, she was working in London, I was working in London. We decided we wanted to come back to the Isle of Wight, and the people that we were working for thought that was a good idea as well. Yep. So we left London and came to work with my parents. We needed to find some other crops to grow. My father was growing fresh sweet corn for the supermarkets, but we wanted to grow something else, a cash crop. And my mother was growing garlic in the kitchen garden. It seemed like a good idea. And that was 1976. By 1979, we were supplying Tesco, then Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer, and all the whole of Britain, basically. Partly with garlic from here, but mostly with imported. So we started to import thousands of tons of garlic and set up quite a big business.
And some of the kind of products that you've diversified in through here, because I can see that you've got some...
Basically what we carried on supplying the supermarkets until we sold that business at the end of the 90s. And then as myself, my wife and 5 children. Yep. And I suddenly found why I had 5 children, because we used to go to London very early on a Saturday morning, and we'd drop each of them off at the farmers' markets all around London. We'd pick them up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hopefully their pockets full of money, and we developed a whole range of products to sell with our garlic at those markets. And if you leave a 12-year-old in the street by herself at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's just got to get on with it, it's character building.
Of course it is, especially in London.
Yeah.
So what's some of the favourite products that you have, or some of the best sellers that you have?
Well, I'm just looking at one. The roast garlic jam is really popular. The garlic chop.
And these are the oils.
Hot ones.
Yeah. Oh, so you've got a range of spice.
There's some very hot ones. There's Vampire's Revenge.
Ooh, I like Vampire's Revenge. The idea of that
plum.
one.
That's hot plum and plum, chili, and garlic. Do you want to try one?
Yeah, let's try one. I'm ready to try Vampire's Revenge.
That's the vampire getting its own back.
Oh, you can really taste the plum. It's beautiful. Very nice.
I think this is a good one, a white little pickle.
White little pickle. And what's in white little pickle?
A white little pickle is basically chopped up garlic cloves in herbs and oil.
Fair
So
enough.
give it a go.
Let's give this one a go as well. This looks delicious. It's the Italian blood coming out of me, obviously. I'm going to be sweating it out. I like this one.
You like that?
Yeah, I like
And
this one a
then
lot.
If you want something really hot, you should come here to, here we are, Vampire Botherer.
Vampire Botherer.
Or
So we're going to go in and try Vampire...
Slayer.
Let's try Vampire Slayer because Buffy was my favourite TV show as a child, not going to lie. I may have had an email called Altham Slayer. Oh yeah, that is delicious. That's got a kick. Very nice. So what chili is mixed with that one?
That will be, I think it says, a blend of Indian chilies.
Very nice. It definitely has a nice after kick.
Great.
Can we go through some of the varieties that you have growing at the moment so we can have a look?
Okay, so this to me is what I'm excited about.
Yes,
at the moment.
These are your babies.
These are my babies. So for a long time we've had early white. That's an early garlic, comes from southwest France. Iberian white is from Spain. Provence, south of France. Avignon, south of France.
So how do they kind of vary, or like what's?
I mean, we can go through them, but basically, these garlics, which are called artichoke type, because their cloves are like a globe artichoke, these have been around a long time. They're what people associate with garlic, and they're quite strong.
Are they almost like a base?
I mean, you must try one.
Okay.
So if you just take a stick and try an Iberian.
I'll try an Iberian. Here we go. Very crunchy, but also quite like fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite aggressive, quite assertive.
Yeah.
Now, it starts to change. If you took a rocambole,
Okay.
and
Let's try
these
this
are,
one.
those are all soft neck garlic. That means that they don't produce a flowering spike. These do. These are much closer to the original garlic from Kazakhstan. And try this rocambole, and you'll find it's got flavors. They're rounded, it's got length, it's got breadth, and it'll certainly come down your nose a bit, but it's got something really garlicky about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more potent. You can.
Okay. So give this one a try.
Purple
Stripe.
Marble stripe.
Marble stripe. And this is probably closest to the mother of all garlic, which I found in Kazakhstan.
So is that where garlic originates? Kazakhstan.
Garlic originated at the end of the last ice age. Garlic could probably only be found in the Tian Shan Mountains, the Celestial Mountains, on the border of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and China.
Yep.
And then mankind, 10,000 years ago, started to, I think he'd been eating garlic for a long time, ever since he was an ape in the trees. And he came down from the trees, scraped around in the ground, and found this little bulb did great things for him. He understood what it did for health in a much better way than we do.
There are amazing medicinal purposes to garlic. Do you kind of venture into any of that, or is it just mostly
allow
food
other
products?
people to make the claims for us.
Okay.
Because we're not scientific, we're not medical, so we let other people do that. Now, you're eating marble stripe. What's it like?
It's not as potent as this one. It has a softer kind of taste through it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I
now,
don't know why. I just find
Yeah.
it a softer taste.
and now try if you take another stick, and try the marbled purple stripe, which we think is probably the best all-round flavour. But crunch, crunch, crunch.
This one's got a little bit stronger. Yeah. Oh, it's even got like a little burn afterwards,
Yeah.
like a bit of a chili.
Yeah, I mean, your mouth is obviously used to these quite strong,
Yeah.
strong flavors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That one's definitely got.
You cope. You seem to cope with it very well.
Oh, with chili, yes, I love chili, so I'm good with chili. That's fine.
Good with chili. Good with garlic.
Yep.
If you go to the Ukraine, Ukrainian men particularly, they go into a restaurant and they're traveling on the road. Go into a restaurant. The first thing you get is peeled garlic cloves. You wrap it in a bit of cured pork fat. You pop it in your mouth, crunch, 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 eat it, and then you take a tumbler of vodka, drink the vodka,
Oh, I like the vodka bit.
and that takes the garlic straight into the bloodstream. And the Ukrainian women that I've spoken to tell me that their men cannot make love to them until they've had 2 or 3 of these pork fat and garlic.
And did you get some of these kind of varieties by traveling? So how did you introduce these into the UK? Because obviously there's a lot of Middle Eastern kind of influences coming through from. So how did you kind of?
Kazakhstan, I brought some back from Kazakhstan.
That's actually on my bucket list. I was talking about it earlier.
Okay. I've brought some. I've had friends from Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. They bring balms back. I spent quite a lot of time in eastern Turkey, Iran-Iraq border with Turkey. It's a little bit hot, not just with garlic, but with political problems. And we found Tunçelianum. See that bearded guy there? He was a terrorist. He'd been to prison, but he also had a passion for growing garlic. So that was,
Interesting character.
that was great. And there we are in the mountains there.
Yeah, I can see you over there in the mountains.
Yeah. And then up in Kazakhstan is on the top picture, finding the mother of all garlic with a Russian scientist.
And do you have plans to do more travelling around that area?
Well, I'd like to go back there because it's 10 years since I was there, so I'd like to go back there. The eastern Turkey is probably, you're more likely to end up dead than alive there, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And then I've just come back for a month in California and Oregon working there, which is where some of these come from.
And what's been probably your most difficult or challenging variety that you've had to kind of, or that you've had the experience in kind of exporting over here or bringing or growing here?
Well, I think these are going to be interesting. These will put up with any amount of cold, but our climate is not getting colder, it's getting warmer. So we're actually...
Still cold.
It's swinging the wrong way, yeah. It's an interesting thing. You're Australian. We've done quite a lot with Australians. Growing garlic in Australia is quite difficult.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
too
my
hot.
dad tries to grow it, and I'm from Melbourne, so the climate is a little bit cooler there, but it is one of the hard ones. So he finally got a variety growing, but it took about 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not an easy environment for garlic to grow there.
That's right. Garlic actually grows best in a Mediterranean type climate, whilst Melbourne is a little bit hotter than that.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier when we were on the tractor ride about the soil content and it's being better in a sandy kind of environment.
Well, people always say to me, gardeners always say, what sort of soil should garlic have?
Yeah.
And I say, the soil that's in your garden,
Yeah.
because that's the only choice you've got. And garlic will grow in most soil types. It doesn't want to be too acid, and if it's acid, you've got to put some lime with it, a bit of chalk. But otherwise, give it enough water. Water is the limiting factor for garlic.
And
Most people have bad results on the garlic because they didn't give enough water.
And also the cold factor is what makes it the cloves. Otherwise, they go into that single.
It needs a chill. Different garlics. Some garlic don't need much chill. Some do. So.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you so much for your time. I absolutely love it. I really enjoyed the tractor ride. It was brilliant, and the products here are amazing. I think definitely this has got to be my favourite. The chill, the little chili spice on there, little kick on it.
Purple stripe.
Marble purple stripe. That's my winner. Thanks, Colin.